BBL 851, turn right, heading 180. Order 14 Papa, turn right 245, report localizer established 26.
It's the beginning of a new week, technically, with Sunday, and it's time to take a look at the stories that did not get their own video in another episode to the Aviation News Recap series. As always, thank you very, very much for the continued support across the channel. It is greatly appreciated. Just before we begin, if you haven't already had the chance to listen, there is a new episode of the weekly DJ's Aviation podcast, which you can, of course, go and listen to across all streaming platforms. Today's updates surround Air New Zealand, the 737 MAX, a new airline, and much more, so buckle in and stay tuned with all the latest aviation news. We begin with Airbus and Air New Zealand. In the past week or so, they entered a program that'll see the New Zealand carrier work with Airbus to study the feasibility of flying hydrogen-powered aircraft to begin with on shorter domestic flights, something the airline wants to achieve in the future, hopefully alongside Airbus. Air New Zealand announced already their plans to operate carbon-free flights by the end of this decade, another initiative within the aviation industry to make flying more environmentally friendly. This partnership will last initially just 2 years and will see the pair analyse and discuss the many costs and benefits for companies involved by going through something like this. Airbus is already working on their zero-emission hydrogen aircraft, which they unveiled earlier this year. However, at the moment, the aircraft is still a long way off, and according to the European aircraft manufacturer, it is only in the early development stages if it ever actually gets to see the light of day. Research, however, is crucial and always critical in the aviation sector. While the goal now is to explore short-haul flights with these aircraft, Air New Zealand did not rule out the possibility to eventually having a plane that would be able to operate trans-Tasman services within the next 2 decades. The aircraft in question would be a 2-jet aircraft and have a blended wing concept. Smaller planes and more significant middle-of-the-market-sized aircraft was showcased during the unveiling. What this means for the industry will be exciting, and I'm sure for Airbus they'll be pleased to see Air New Zealand voicing their interest in utilising such a type of aircraft for the future of their business, and I'm sure we'll very much be keeping a close full eye on how the developments occur out of this partnership. On to the Boeing 737 MAX. Controversial topic it might be though, however it is worth covering here on the channel in one of these update videos, as it has made, I'd argue, quite the news in the past week. A former Boeing test pilot is set to face charges over the 2 incidents involving the 737 MAX. According to US federal prosecutors, thanks to an exclusive report by the Wall Street Journal, the man in question has misled various aviation regulators regarding the 737 MAX, especially with regards to that of the MCAS, which, as we know, was the issue and the system that was identified as the cause of both ET302 and JT610 respectively. They say that while the charges have yet to be revealed, he withheld information that was crucial regarding MCAS and has more than been noted. It could have been prevented, of course, had this information been revealed. The Boeing 737 MAX spent 2+ years on the ground and has had a very rocky road back to where it is now. But for many, the most staggering developments from the entire saga has been revealed surrounding operations at Boeing. This has just added to the long list of complications we've seen from the crisis that has shone further light on Boeing's previous practices that you could argue were never in the spotlight. Unfortunately, it took 2 catastrophic incidents for them to come to light, and since then we've seen the problems continue and major shake-ups at executive levels within the business as the pressure was mounted on these particular people. The AirAsia group have been hit hard by this pandemic across all corners of their business. However, their relationship with Airbus from the pandemic has come under quite a lot of fire, especially with their aggressive fleet renewal and expansion plans that were in place before the pandemic. Airbus announced in recent days that they'd come to a new agreement with Malaysia AirAsia over their order, an order that consists of once again hundreds of aircraft and is worth at list price value tens of billions of dollars. Therefore, it's major for AirAsia and the European aircraft manufacturer. AirAsia is their biggest customer within Asia, and this order means a lot. To ensure that all parties are happy isn't easy, but it is critical. Regarding the changes that will be explicitly made, the options include either the cost reduction of the aircraft in question or the rescheduling of delivery, which would no doubt be a further postponement. The most significant benefit for Airbus is that this specific update to the order does not see any aircraft cancelled, rather rejigged. How do you think the restructure will benefit AirAsia in the future? Obviously, an order for hundreds of aircraft will no doubt be changing their business in the future, but what will this mean? Do you still see them as an airline that will dominate the Asian sector long into the future? Or are you under the impression that they will continue to struggle with this pandemic and maybe it'll be harder for them to, say, get back to where they were within the industry? Let me know down in the comment section, but let's move on now to the final topic of today, and that's with globalx, a new airline within the American aviation sector you may have heard of if you have looked at a previous video on the channel. They specialize in charter operations, but will eventually be dipping into the cargo market. Thanks to the vice president of their group, we have some further information surrounding how they've been tracking and their future. The airline is headquartered in Miami and bases in Atlantic City and many other locations. It's already commenced operations and is looking at a continued steady growth to help aid it in its goals moving forward. The airline is, if you are unaware, planning on welcoming in 2 other aircraft by the end of the 4th quarter of this year, with cargo aircraft expected to arrive in the 2nd quarter of 2022. However, by 2025, in 4 years' time, they will see a total of 40 aircraft within their operations and regular charter services out of Miami. Regarding the freighter aircraft, they already have signed a letter of intent for a total of 15 freighter aircraft if you are curious as to just how many freighter aircraft they are indeed looking at operating into the future. What's also important to note is thanks to their vice president, I managed to receive an email with some chart data just to be able to give you the perfect idea of how many aircraft they will have by the end of each calendar year and also quarter. If we take a look at this chart on your screen now, you'll be able to better see the globalx fleet size through to the end of 2022. They're looking at welcoming in, once again, their first freighter aircraft by Q1 of 2022, where they'll welcome in a further 2 passenger aircraft. Over time, you can see that through to the end of 2022, that passenger aircraft number grows by 1 with every passing quarter, before they look at ending their 2022 with 10 passenger aircraft and 5 cargo aircraft. What are your thoughts on the future of globalx? How do you believe they'll slot into the charter aviation sector? Do you believe it will be a success? Let me know down in the comment section below. Like I always say, I just want to once again thank you very, very much for tuning into another video here on the channel, especially these aviation news recap ones. I know you all very, very much enjoy watching these as you get your information in somewhat bite-sized format, but with topics coming one after the other. Like I mentioned at the beginning of this video, there's a new episode to the DJ's Aviation podcast out, which you're more than welcome to go and listen to, and all previous episodes. There's links always in the description. Alternatively, you can simply search DJ's Aviation on any streaming platform. Thanks once again for watching. Until the next video, take care and be safe, and I will see you then.